Hello everybody, this is Dragonzilla here, and tonight's review will be on the Cryptozoology Toob. Now, since I'm a huge fan of monsters, it will come to no surprise that I'm an enthusiast on cryptozoology as well, and thus Nessie has made some appearances on this channel many times before, even through episodes of Kaiju and Cryptids, the occasional reviews, and also I've been to Loch Ness a few times as well. I got this set as a graduation present after finishing college back in mid-2016, along with the Safari Limited Mythical Realms Toob. The set contains 7 figures, however I have placed them as 3 categories. So from least to best, there's the hoaxes, the confirmed, and the mythical. First up are the hoaxes. Creatures that are completely made up, as back in the Victorian era, showmen would stitch up parts from different animals and make up all sorts of weird creatures, i.e. specimens like the Fiji mermaid are an example of this. First creature is the fur trout. Don't really know the origins of this one. I think someone just took a trout fish but added fur and said it's a fish that lives in cold environments. For a hoax, it has a nice silvery paint job and decent detailing. However, when facing the figure from the front, one eye seems to be larger than the other. It's just how it's been painted. So we have a cockeyed furred fish, and very unusual. There's not really a lot to say on this one because it's just a fish but with fur. Next up is the jackalope, which is a jackrabbit but with deer antlers. Okay, this was a creature that people claimed to have seen in the wild, and when real jackrabbits were stuffed, showmen would glue deer antlers onto their heads, and would say that they caught them in the wilderness. However, later on and many years later, it was discovered that some jackrabbits had a condition where apparently they had strange formations growing on their heads that resembled horns, and that's what people back in the 19th century were really seeing. But they were the inspiration for the jackalope. Now this figure is portrayed sat down, as I suspect that stuffed fakes would have as well. At first glance it does look like it resembles the real jackrabbit, until you notice the antlers. So yeah, the hoaxes aren't really the most exciting figures in this set, and in my opinion at least, both fur trout and jackalope are exceptionally lame. This next category of cryptids is what I call the confirmed. Creatures that have been proven to exist. Well, one was once thought to be mythological, but has a real-life counterpart, and the other wasn't really a cryptid from the start. However, it was once considered to be extinct, but live specimens were found swimming off the coast of Madagascar during the 1930s. And I think you all know which creature I'm talking about. If you guessed the coelacanth, then you are correct. This ancient fish has been around for millions of years, even before the dinosaurs evolved. It is such a remarkable animal that people say it's like seeing a live dinosaur. Well, a live non-avian dinosaur to be more accurate, hence why it's been dubbed as the living fossil. This figure is a little better than the fur trout that we looked at earlier, mainly because I know a lot more on the coelacanth. This model is a smaller version of Safari's larger coelacanth figure, which I do have in the collection, but painted blue all over. Even the eyes look soulless, giving the model a zombie-like effect, so you could call it a sea zombie. The tail is sticking up just like the fur trout, but coelacanths are heavy creatures, and I believe that sometimes they can be seen swimming like this. Overall, this is the first nice looking figure in this set, and one of my favourites. Next up is the kraken, that was once thought to be mythical, but does actually have a real life counterpart, which is the giant humble squid Arctudus. I think that's what it's called. However, this figure is based on the mythical kraken. As you can see, it's attacking a ship, which the real giant squid is incapable at, even though they've been known to go after sperm whales, or vice versa. The tentacles are chopped, as it's a creature that's halfway out of the water, and you only have half of the Mary Celeste. Yeah, I know the Mary Celeste wasn't really attacked by a giant sea monster. It was actually abandoned under mysterious circumstances, but it's fun to speculate. Not much to say on this one, other than it looks nice. So yeah, the confirmed is a nice little pair. Not really a fan of the kraken, but I do love the coelacanth. And finally are the mythical cryptids, that are at present made up, but unlike traditional mythological creatures, that are inventions of the human mind, like dragons and griffins, to name a few. These creatures are based on animals that originated from the prehistoric past, but witnesses have claimed to have seen them alive and well in the wilderness. First player for this category is America's Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch. Now when you think of this guy, the first thing that'll probably come to mind will be the Patterson film, which is what I consider to be the Sasquatch equivalent to the surgeon's photo. But unlike for the Loch Ness Monster, where that turned out to be a hoax, the Panzer film is still in debate to this day. Some say that it's a man in a big gorilla suit, and others believe that it's the real deal. Anyway, as you can see, this figure is based on the Panzer film being in the walking pose and the arms are striving. I do like the details on the face, given a half human, half ape impression, and the area between the nose and the mouth kinda looks like a mustache. So this model is clearly a male, despite people saying that the creature in the Panzer film is female. Even though Sasquatch is a mythical creature, everyone reckons that if Bigfoot is a real animal, then it's most likely that he's a surviving Gigantopithecus that would have migrated from Southeast Asia and ended up in the Americas. This is another favourite figure of mine, and an excellent representation of the Sasquatch. If the ancestors of Sasquatch did leave Southeast Asia and headed for the Americas, then some of his kind must have decided to stop over in Tibet and take up residence in the Himalayas, thus giving birth to the Yeti, better known as the Abominable Snowman. Out of all the figures in this set, I feel that this one is quite unique because of what it is. It's basically the Bigfoot figure that we've just looked at now, but if modified and reposed the model, so that instead of the walk, we have the Abominable Snowman who's just standing. I really praise Safari for doing this, because most other companies would just take the lazy route and repaint their figures that they already have, so this is a win in my book. Even though pop culture depicts this creature to be white, the Abominable Snowman, despite the name, isn't white surprisingly. No, it's actually said to be either brown or black. Again, I think this is another smart move on Safari, because if they painted the model to be either brown or black, then it would look like there are two Sasquatches in this set. So again, smart move on Safari's part, and another nice figure. And now finally, saving the best till last, would be my boy, well, my girl. And the main reason why I asked for this set, that would be none other than Nessie the Loch Ness Monster. This is truly a beautiful looking figure, and when we think of the Loch Ness Monster, the first image that will come to our minds would be the classic Plesiosaurus. However, Nessie is also said to be a mythological sea serpent. So what Safari have done, they have depicted their Nessie as a hybrid between a plesiosaur and a sea serpent. Well, the figure is mostly plesiosaur, but the tail is quite long. I did some research, and as far as I know, plesiosaurs didn't have tails that were that huge, so this is where the sea serpent would come in. The mouth is open, but the tongue isn't painted red, and speaking of which, I really do love the colour of green that this figure has, even though I suspect that the Loch Ness Monster would most likely be black. But these figures need to pop with colour. In my opinion, this is the best figure, and it would be right if Safari did include Nessie for this set, because she's the most iconic cryptid of all time. So all we need now from Safari would be a full-size version of this figure, to which hopefully, fingers crossed, they will do that at some point in the future. And for the heck of it, here is Nessie the Loch Ness Monster with the King of the Monsters, Godzilla. I think that the mythical is my favourite category, mainly because these are the guys that got me into cryptozoology in the first place, and monsters in general. And if you're a fan of KC, then I think you may recall seeing both Nessie and Bigfoot appear in a couple of episodes. Well, even though I used a different figure of Nessie, but I've also used Safaris as well. And as for the other Nessie, well, I'm pretty sure I'll cover him at some point. So overall, what are my final thoughts on the Safari Limited Cryptozoology Toob? Well, if you're a huge fan of cryptids, and you have a fascination with the mysterious and the unexplained, then you will definitely get a lot of great pleasure out of this set. My favourites are the Loch Ness Monster, the two ape men, and the coelacanth. But if I were to drop two figures, those would be the fur trout and the jackalope. And in their place, I would go for other mythical cryptids, such as the chupacabra and Jersey Devil, or perhaps add in another lake monster to go alongside Nessie, like maybe Ogopogo or Champ from Lake Champlain. There is another set dedicated to cryptozoology that Safari have done, but don't get too excited, because it's just these figures from this set that have been repainted. This is Dragonzilla signing out, take care and I'll see you all next time, bye for now.